Ladies and gentlemen, why is it that some people walk through life with calm confidence, while others are constantly anxious, bracing for the next thing to go wrong? It's not luck. It's not that their life is easier than yours. It's something far more powerful, a mindset. They act as if everything always works out for them, not because it always has, but because believing it will changes everything. You see, our minds are wired to follow the story we tell ourselves. When we tell ourselves that things are working in our favor, even when we can't see how yet, we begin to make decisions with hope instead of fear, with clarity instead of panic. This is not about blind optimism. It's about training your brain to see possibilities instead of problems. It's about walking into the unknown with the belief that even setbacks are setups, that even detours lead somewhere meaningful. So today, I want to invite you to explore what would happen in your life, in your work, in your relationships, if you started to act as if everything was unfolding for your greatest good. Because maybe, just maybe, that's how you begin to make it true. Imagine waking up one morning and choosing to believe that today will be a good day, not because of any particular evidence, but because you decided it would be. There's no forecast guaranteeing sunshine, no email confirming that the problem has been solved, no person assuring you that things will go your way. Just belief, that's where powerful change begins. Most people operate the other way around. They wait for signs before they act. They wait to see the outcome before committing their energy. They want proof before they believe. But life doesn't usually give us guarantees in advance. The most successful, fulfilled, and purpose-driven people in the world didn't wait for evidence before they started believing in their vision. They believed first, the evidence came later. Think about it. Every breakthrough, every invention, every movement started with someone who had no proof it would work. The Wright brothers had no evidence that humans could fly, yet they believed it. Martin Luther King Jr. had no proof that equality would win, but he believed in a dream. Steve Jobs had no evidence that people needed a phone with no buttons, but he believed they would. In each case, belief came first. Action followed, then results. When we start with belief, we're not ignoring reality. We're shaping it. Our belief becomes the lens through which we see the world. It determines how we interpret what's happening around us. If we believe things always work out for us, even setbacks feel like redirection. Even rejection feels like refinement. We no longer see obstacles as the end, we see them as the path. And when we walk that path with belief, our energy changes. We show up differently. We speak differently. We make bolder decisions. People respond to us differently. Belief isn't passive. It's active. It's a posture, a tone, a daily choice. It says, I may not see the full picture yet, but I trust that something good is unfolding. And that trust fuels courage. Courage to take the leap. Courage to start the conversation. Courage to keep going when the evidence still hasn't caught up with the vision. When you believe that things are working out for you, you stop waiting for life to give you permission. You give yourself permission. This belief is not about arrogance or ignoring problems. It's not pretending that challenges don't exist. It's choosing to interpret those challenges as meaningful. It's understanding that just because you can't see the purpose yet doesn't mean there isn't one. When we act from belief, we build momentum. We gain emotional resilience. We become less reactive and more creative. We don't just survive, we grow, we learn, we adapt. Most people think success is about having more answers. But often it's about having stronger belief. Belief is what allows you to begin without knowing how it will end. Belief is what allows you to keep moving forward when the metrics don't look good. Belief is what builds trust, in yourself, in others, and in the process. Believing before seeing is uncomfortable. It goes against the logic most of us were taught. But belief is not about logic. It's about vision. It's about aligning your mindset with the future you want to create, not the past you've experienced. And when you start with belief, you start leading your life instead of simply reacting to it. Evidence is always easier to accept once belief has built the foundation. Belief is what gives you the courage to go first, to show up before you're validated, to act before you're applauded. It's the fuel behind initiative, behind innovation, behind impact. You don't need proof to believe. You need belief to make proof possible. Your mindset is the invisible force that shapes everything you experience. It's not what happens to you that defines your life. It's how you interpret it, how you respond to it, and how you carry it forward. Two people can go through the exact same circumstance and come out with completely different outcomes, simply because of the mindset they chose. One sees a challenge and feels defeated. The other sees the same challenge and feels determined. The situation is the same, but the story they tell themselves about it changes everything. We often think outcomes are dictated by our environment, our resources, our luck. But in reality, the most powerful influence over our outcomes is internal. It's the mindset we bring to the table. The way we think becomes the way we act, and the way we act becomes the results we get. A person who walks into a room with the mindset that they belong will show up differently than someone who walks in expecting to be overlooked. And because of that, people treat them differently. Opportunities find them more easily. Confidence becomes self-fulfilling. It all starts in the mind. Mindset is not just about positive thinking. It's about deep, grounded belief in how the world works and your place in it. If you believe that life is rigged in your favor, that belief will inform every decision you make. You'll take more risks. You'll pursue things with greater passion. You'll be less shaken when things go wrong because your mindset reminds you that it's just part of the process. If you believe the world is against you, even good news will feel temporary. Even success will feel fragile. You'll live in defense, not in creation. What you expect from life, you tend to attract. Not through magic or luck, but through the lens you wear and the energy you project. A growth mindset opens the door to learning and adaptability. It allows you to reframe failure as feedback and fear as a compass. A fixed mindset, on the other hand, sees failure as a threat and fear as a stop sign. Your mindset determines whether your challenges become obstacles or fuel. It decides if your journey becomes a burden or a breakthrough. We are constantly feeding our minds stories consciously or not. Stories about who we are, what we're capable of, and how the world works. Those stories create our internal reality, and that internal reality becomes the blueprint for the external one. When you change your mindset, you don't just change how you think. You change what you believe is possible. You change how you interpret pain, how you process uncertainty, how you relate to others. You shift from reacting to life to responding with intention. Mindset is also contagious. The energy you bring into a room can uplift or deflate. People feel it, even before you speak. Leaders who operate from a mindset of trust and abundance create environments of creativity and collaboration. Leaders who operate from fear and scarcity create environments of control and competition. Whether you're aware of it or not, your mindset is always broadcasting a message. And that message is shaping the culture around you. Changing your mindset doesn't require a new job, more money, or a dramatic event. It starts with awareness. It starts by asking yourself, what do I believe to be true right now? And is that belief helping me or holding me back? Mindset is a practice. It's something you choose and reinforce daily. You strengthen it through repetition, through reflection, through who you surround yourself with. You don't wait for your mindset to change you change it. Every experience is filtered through the mindset you bring to it. The same event can be a lesson or a loss, depending on how you see it. The same delay can be a setback or a setup, depending on what you believe it means. Outcomes are not random. They are shaped moment by the way you choose to think. Confidence is one of the most misunderstood qualities. Most people believe confidence is something you earn after you've proven yourself, after you've succeeded, after you've been validated, after you've achieved something visible. But that's not how it works. True confidence is not a result, it's a choice. It's a decision to trust yourself, even when you haven't yet seen the results. It's the quiet inner knowing that says, I may not have done this before, but I believe I can. It's not built on past evidence, it's built on present conviction. When you rely on outcomes to give you confidence, you give all your power away to circumstances. You become dependent on things outside of you. Approval, recognition, external success to feel good about yourself. And when those things are taken away or delayed, your confidence disappears with them. That's not confidence. That's attachment. Confidence isn't about needing to be certain. It's about being willing to show up despite uncertainty. It's the ability to move forward, even when your hands are shaking, even when your voice is trembling, even when the odds aren't in your favor. Confidence is not loud. It doesn't always shout or demand attention. Sometimes it's calm, quiet, steady. It doesn't need to prove itself because it knows its value isn't dependent on what others see. When you understand that confidence is a choice, you stop waiting to feel ready. You stop hesitating until the stars align. You realize that the act of stepping forward even before you feel fully prepared is what builds the very confidence you're looking for. It's a paradox. You gain confidence by doing the things you think require confidence. Every time you act in the face of fear, your mind learns something new. It learns that you can handle discomfort, that you can speak up, that you can try and fail and try again. Confidence grows in motion, not in waiting. The longer you delay action waiting to feel confident, the more power you give to fear. But the moment you act, even in a small way, you shift the momentum. You begin to redefine what you're capable of. You don't need to fake confidence. You just need to choose it. Choosing confidence doesn't mean pretending to know everything. It means trusting that you can figure things out along the way. It means acknowledging your doubts without letting them dictate your direction. It means holding space for imperfection while still moving forward. Confidence chosen in this way becomes a foundation. It becomes part of your identity, not a mask you wear, but a posture you adopt. It's a muscle, and like any muscle, it strengthens the more you use it. When you choose confidence, you create new opportunities. People respond to you differently. You attract collaboration, trust, and support. You give others permission to show up boldly too. But most importantly, you create alignment between who you are and how you live. That alignment is powerful, because when your inner belief matches your outer behavior, you become unstoppable, not because you always win, but because you no longer shrink in the face of risk. There's a quiet power in acting as if. Not pretending, not faking, but choosing to live and move and decide from the belief that what you desire is already aligning for you. Acting as if is not about lying to yourself. It's about aligning yourself. It's about stepping into the version of you who has already figured it out, already overcome the challenge, already arrived at the outcome you're working toward. When you act as if things are working out for you, you change the way you show up to life. You lead with calm instead of chaos, intention instead of desperation, belief instead of doubt. When you walk into a room acting as if you belong there, you carry yourself differently. Your posture changes, your energy shifts, your voice steadies. People respond to that version of you, not because they know what's happening in your mind, but because your behavior and presence transmit confidence. When you act as if your goals are already in motion, you approach each step with clarity. You stop second, guessing every move because you're no longer asking, will this work? You're asking, how does this fit into the bigger plan that's already unfolding? Acting as if doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending pain doesn't exist. It means facing life with the belief that everything happening has a purpose, that it's leading you somewhere meaningful, even if you don't fully understand it yet. It means making decisions from the mindset of growth and opportunity, not fear and scarcity. You act not from where you are, but from where you want to be. And that single shift changes your trajectory. People often wait for external changes before they allow themselves to think differently. They wait to feel secure before they act confident, wait to be promoted before they lead, wait to be chosen before they show up fully. But life responds to energy, not hesitation. When you act as if everything is working out for you, you start to behave in ways that bring that outcome closer. You speak with more conviction. You take more decisive action. You move with purpose. You stop seeking constant reassurance because deep down you've already reassured yourself. This mindset builds momentum. When you move through the world expecting good things to happen, not out of entitlement, but out of trust, you start seeing possibilities where others see problems. You're not blind to reality. You're just choosing to focus your energy in a direction that builds, not breaks. You interpret delays as detours, not dead ends. You experience failure as feedback, not as a final verdict. You stop looking at life through a lens of what if it goes wrong and start asking, what if it all works out better than I imagined? The most powerful part of acting, as if, is that it places you in the driver's seat. It puts your mindset ahead of your circumstances. You no longer wait for life to change before you change your approach. You embody the future in the present. You bring the version of you who already made it into the room today, and because of that, you start living in alignment with your goals instead of living in fear of not reaching them. The brain begins to follow your lead. It adapts, reshapes, and rewires to match the story you're telling it through your actions. This is not delusion, it's direction, it's strategy. It's stepping into your highest self before the world has caught up. It's saying, I trust the process, and then backing that trust with movement. When you act as if things are working out for you, your life begins to reflect that energy back to you. People notice, opportunities open, conversations change, most importantly, your inner experience shifts. You feel more grounded, more at peace, more capable not because everything is perfect, but because you've chosen to show up as if it is unfolding exactly as it should. Setbacks are an inevitable part of every journey. No matter how clear your vision is or how carefully you plan, life will throw challenges your way. Things will go wrong, timelines will stretch, people will disappoint you, and circumstances will shift. But what matters far more than the setback itself is how you interpret it. Some people see a setback as a sign to stop, as confirmation that they were never meant to do this. Others see it as a signal to shift, as an invitation to adjust, rethink, and evolve. The difference isn't in the obstacle. It's in the mindset behind the response. When you view setbacks as signs to stop, you begin to lose momentum. You internalize the failure. You tell yourself that you must not be cut out for this, that it's too hard, that if it were meant to be, it would be easier. But ease is not the indicator of alignment. Growth rarely feels easy. Progress often looks like resistance before it becomes reward. Setbacks aren't trying to block you. Sometimes they're trying to build you. They are revealing weaknesses in your plan, flaws in your assumptions, or gaps in your preparation, not to shame you, but to shape you. People who thrive in the long run don't avoid setbacks. They expect them. They even embrace them, because they understand that nothing worth doing comes without difficulty. They've learned to read setbacks like a language. Every challenge carries a message. Maybe you need to pivot. Maybe you need to pause. Maybe you need to develop a skill or change your strategy. A shift doesn't mean failure. A shift means flexibility. It means you're still in the game, still willing to adapt, still committed to the outcome even if the path looks different than you imagined. When you hit a wall, you have two choices. You can retreat and decide that the wall means stop, or you can pause, reassess, and decide that the wall means you need to find a different way around. Sometimes you go over it, sometimes you go around it, sometimes you build a door where there wasn't one. That's what growth looks like. It's not linear, it's layered, and setbacks are part of that layering process. They refine you, they strip away what's no longer working, they force clarity, and in many cases they bring you closer to the truth of what you're really meant to do. People often look back at their biggest setbacks and realize they were turning points. In the moment, it felt like failure. But with time and perspective, it became the thing that redirected them to a better outcome. When you choose to see setbacks as signals to shift, you stay in motion. You stay open, you stay curious, you become more resilient and resourceful. You learn to detach your worth from your performance and root it in your persistence. That mindset creates space for innovation. It allows you to experiment without fear of looking foolish. It gives you the freedom to course correct without shame. In this way, setbacks actually become one of your greatest teachers. They show you what you value, they test your commitment, they challenge your creativity, they force you to ask better questions and seek better answers. You grow not in spite of them, but because of them. The ability to reframe a setback into a signal is a mark of leadership. It's a mark of maturity. It's a mark of someone who is no longer thrown off course by every disruption, but is anchored in something deeper than immediate success. Every person you admire, every leader who has built something meaningful, every creator who has brought a vision to life, they all have one thing in common. They faced setbacks, but they didn't stop. They shifted, they learned, they adapted. They kept showing up, not because it was easy, but because they knew the setback wasn't the end of the story. It was just a plot twist designed to bring out something stronger in them they hadn't discovered yet. The story you live is the story you tell yourself. Every day, whether you realize it or not, you're narrating your life. You're telling yourself who you are, what you're capable of, what the world is like, and how people respond to you. That inner narrative becomes the foundation for how you show up, how you think, how you act, and how you feel. And over time, it becomes your reality, not because it's objectively true, but because you've repeated it enough to make it real. If you tell yourself you're unlucky, you'll start to interpret every delay or challenge as confirmation of that story. If you believe people don't support you, you'll filter every interaction through suspicion or defensiveness. On the other hand, if you tell yourself that life supports you, that you're adaptable, that things are always working in your favor, you begin to notice moments that align with that belief. You become more open, more optimistic, and more willing to take risks. The story doesn't just describe your world, it creates it. The brain is always looking for patterns. When you repeat a story, your mind begins to scan for evidence to support it. It filters out what doesn't match. So if your internal story is one of limitation or fear, you'll unconsciously gravitate toward experiences that reinforce that. You'll find reasons to hold back, stay small, or play safe. But if your internal story is one of growth, strength, and possibility, your brain will help you find ways to expand. The narrative you choose becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You don't have to be perfect to tell a powerful story. You just have to be intentional. You have to ask yourself, is the story I'm telling myself helping me or holding me back? Stories can be rewritten. You can decide today that your past doesn't define your future. You can choose to narrate from a place of power, not pity. You can shift from "why is this happening to me?" to "what is this preparing me for?" That shift in language creates a shift in identity. And a shift in identity changes everything.